Hello and welcome. This is Dawn. We are on day number 3 of the 12 days of Stitchmas, and today we get to see what is behind door number 3. Drum roll, please. It looks like we have an ornament, a double-tiered ornament. This reminds me of those old vintage ones. This one's going to be a good one. Now, if you are just joining, be sure to check out day 1. I'll have it linked at the end of this video, and day 2 is under the community tab. I did not have a video for day 2. Instead, I just posted pictures of the projects. So let's open this up and take a look at what it is. It is, like I said, in that photo, a double-tiered ornament. You've got the outline here, you've got the inside stitching, and then you have the ornament topper. So these are nice because you can go with or without the stitching. I like that detail there. All right, so we are jumping right in. I'm going to cut this from white. I'm using my press and seal trick so that I can cut exact duplicates of each layer. And if you're not sure what this is, check out day 1. I explain why I do this. I did have a comment in the video there, and she asked what is the importance of making sure that you have your inside there exactly the same for each duplicate cut. And today you're going to see exactly why. Because I'm going to cut this not once, but I'm going to cut it 3 times. And then I'm going to stack them on top of each other and stitch through all 3 layers. Here you can see how beautifully intricate the design is on this ornament. I actually, I appreciate all of the extra detail that is cut into this. They could have easily just given you the stitching lines, but here you've got some cutouts that can reveal another color underneath. And then you've also got some little piercing details, which, spoiler alert, those can be used when you do this with felt. Those can be used to add some stitching details as well. I'll have some samples using a different die coming up here soon. So like I said, if you've been here a while, you know I like to stack my dies. I like the thickness it adds. When you're stitching, there is a benefit to stacking your dies. I don't know about you, but I tend to manhandle these things when I'm stitching them. I have a very delicate touch when it comes to a paintbrush. But for some reason with this paper, I'm quite rough with it. So if you're like me and you tend to manhandle that paper when you're stitching, having these stacked so that it's a little thicker like chipboard makes stitching on them so much easier. The paper doesn't bend and it doesn't crease, and you don't feel like you're going to destroy the paper. And I'm using 110-pound cardstock here, and I still kind of felt that way. All right, so I'm using the red DMC thread that is included in the Stitch Along kit that Spellbinders also offers. I'm going to pull out 2 strands here. So these are embroidery threads, embroidery floss, whatever you want to call it, is 6 strands twisted together. I like to stitch with 2. So here I'm just separating out 2 strands. I like to kind of separate it halfway, let those loose pieces hang to unravel from each other, and then I will pull out the last half and again let those threads unravel from each other. I do have the threader that came in this kit, and for some reason, you guys, I refuse to pull it out and use it. What is wrong with me? I need to get it out. Instead, no, I'm over here trying my hardest to stick this thread through this tiny little eye. I'm never gonna learn. Never. All right, so now that we have that threaded, I'm going to use the double-sided adhesive on the back to hold my starting thread there. Again, this is duplicate information from day 1. So again, that's just another reason if you haven't watched day 1, go watch day 1. You pick up all these little tips. I do not want to keep repeating them over and over in each video. So I included all of these little tips in day 1, and then each day that we do a video for, I'm only going to really go into detail on the new stuff, okay? So like here, I said we did the 3 stack of dies to make them thicker, but you can see here how much more durable this die cut is as I'm stitching through it. That connection point between the top and lower tier it gets pretty thin when you're just stitching 1 layer and it wants to bend on you. So I like doing this a lot. I'm going to weave that end thread there through the stitches on the back. And then here I didn't have quite enough that double-sided adhesive still exposed to hold those ending threads, so I just put a little extra. All right, so there we have our ornament all stitched. I wanted to clean back on this, so I'm using just the outline. we're cutting a red layer here and we're going to adhere that to the back. That's going to make the cutout parts show the red. So we're going to have a red and white ornament. So cute. Put it under a block, give it time to adhere. I'm getting better about not messing with stuff, guys. All right, so I created another one off screen. This time I did red with white stitching, and now it's time to do the ornament toppers. I'm going to use the brushed silver cardstock. Again, this is included in that stitch along kit. I've cut a little piece from that, and I've cut our toppers here. Now, again, we're stacking. I'm a stacker, guys. I cut 3 of them, so I only cut 2 of them from the brushed silver cardstock, and then the other 4 I cut from just a silver cardstock. Actually, it's a dark gray. It's not even silver. That specialty cardstock is expensive, guys, and they only gave you 1 sheet in that stitch along kit, so we got to be stingy. All right, so next, I don't know what we're going to do next. Hold on, let the video get there. So glue those together, put it under a block. I couldn't have kept this part in. Oh, good, okay. Once they're put together, we're going to adhere those to the top of your ornament. Little liquid adhesive, super easy. And then there you go. There's your 2 ornaments. Now it's time to work on that background. We're going to be using BETTERPRESS plate for this. This is the Evergreen Branches. I think that's what it's, yes, Evergreen Branches from Spellbinders, and I'm using their Pebble BETTERPRESS cotton panels. We're going to use just this one little pine sprig here. Now we're going to go into detail on how to do this because I'm going to do a blind letterpress. I just want that impression in the background to, I don't want these to actually be hanging on branches. I want to give the suggestion that they would be hanging on branches. So doing that blind letterpress in the background, which is where you letterpress but with no ink, we're just going to be putting the debossed image into our panel, and we're going to build it up here. So I've added my my washi tape here to the corners of my, is this the chase? This isn't the chase. This is the platen. I've added the washi tape to the platen, and I'm pressing my cotton panel there to hold it. Now, everything that I do here is going to be mirrored, right? Because you're going to flip that plate onto the chase. So you'll see what I'm saying here. So if I want these ornaments to sit here in the middle, and then I want my branches to come in from the left side to the right, then I'm going to need to put this plate on the right side of my chase. So here you can see I'm trying to work it out in my head, and I'm like, okay, wait. So it's going to go like this. You can see me thinking it through. I'm like, if I put this here, if I want it to, okay, so now I've got it figured out, and I'm pretty sure of what I'm doing. This is where I just figured out in my head, like, oh, it's in reverse. So if I put that there we go. If I want it to come in from the left, I've got to put it on the right. I know. It takes a little bit to get it to wrap your head around, but everything is going to be mirrored. So we're going to put our platen there on our chase. Then we're just going to run this through our Spellbinders Platinum 6. And then when we remove this, you'll see that beautiful debossed impression that it put into the plate. And I got it right. It's coming in from the left towards the right, even though on the plate it's sat right to left. Look at that, you guys. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. All right, so we're going to build this up. So I'm going to put it right back into place. And then I'm going to shift my plate here, my BETTERPRESS plate. I want this next branch to come in slightly below and to the right of the first branch. So I'm just going to slide that over to the right and down just a bit. And after a few little adjustments, I'm ready to send this back through the Platinum 6. So we'll put our platen there back on top and send it through. So we're going to run that through again. This is the nice thing about blind letterpressing. Well, it's a good thing about letterpressing in general. You can continue to build your pattern in the background with the same one, the same way as you do with stamps. So this is actually going to be a custom background. So I'm not stuck with just one design. By reusing this branch over and over, I can create my own custom design. All right, so I'm just going to test it, see if I've got things about where I want, and I do. Now I do want this to extend beyond the ornaments. So I'm going to slide that plate over to the left a little. So here you can see I'm sliding it to the left, and then I'm going to slide it down just slightly. So it goes in a diagonal line there. All right, once I'm happy with it, I'm going to go ahead and send that back through again. And you can see here how we're building up this pattern. And then I'm always testing it in between. So I'll lay my ornaments down, make sure that I like where it's at. And I decided I think I need at least one more branch. At least one more at the top. And more than likely at the bottom too, which, spoiler, I do another one at the bottom. I already know because I've already seen it. But I do feel like I need just a little bit more here on what would be the left side of my finished card. So I'm sliding my plate all the way over to the right edge of my chase. It takes a minute to get used to doing the opposite on the chase. So basically, in my head, I know that whatever side I want this to appear on the card, I'm going to put it on the opposite side on the chase. And sometimes it still trips me up a little. So here I'm looking at how I want this branch to extend below the middle line, because over on the right side of the card, that branch is hitting the middle of the card. On the left side, I want it to go below the middle of the card. So that's where I slid that branch down just a little bit. If I had both branches on both sides ending at the middle of the card, it has the, it can cut the card in half in the background. Not literally, visually. So if one side, I always like to do one side a little higher or lower than the other. So here this looks so much better. Here you can see up close, look at all that detail. Oh, so beautiful. So good. Okay, and since I already spoiled it, no need to show it, I'm just going to show you here the results. I added one more of those branches, and this time I did it in the lower right-hand corner. So here you can see that's our background. Absolutely beautiful. Subtle, classy, and it will set off our design beautifully. I want to accent the ornaments just a little bit, so I'm going to use those holly leaves from our Day 2 set. And I cut those from a mid-tone gray cardstock. It matches that brushed silver cardstock almost perfectly. And you're going to want to know what it is, aren't you? I pulled it from my stash, so I'm pretty sure it's a Spellbinders cardstock. I'll double check and I'll have it linked in the description below. But I can tell you it's going to be either Concord and Ninth, Gina K, or Spellbinders. So I'll double check that and I'll have it in the product description or the video description below. All right, so I have adhered the holly leaves flat to the background. I popped up the first ornament on these foam squares that are also included in that stitch along kit. And then I realized that I'm going to need to double these up on the second one. The ornaments themselves have 4 layers of cardstock, so they're pretty thick. And then that ornament is popped up on this foam tape. So I need this ornament to slightly overlap the other one. So it's going to need to clear it. It's going to need to be higher than that ornament. Coincidentally, 2 of these foam squares stacked on top of each other is the exact right height. So once I lay this over top, it's going to be completely level. So here you can see we're going to put this into place and perfect. Commit. Thank you. I thought I was going to move it again. But no, I committed. Very unusual for me. All right, for the sentiment, I hot foiled the same sentiment that we used for Day 1. This is the Merry Little Christmas sentiments. I hot foiled that in white on that same gray cardstock. And I love how this tied in with the holly leaves. Now, I procrastinated a good half hour trying to find some other thing to use for the sentiment because I didn't want to pull out the hot foil machine to do one sentiment. And you guys, it took like 5 minutes. 5 minutes to cut it out or to hot foil it, cut it out, and stack it. And I procrastinated like half an hour. Am I the only one that was like, Dawn, you could have been done. But no, you just did not want to pull out the hot foil for one sentiment. Just pull out the hot foil machine, you guys. It's honestly not that hard. 5 minutes. Literally. All right, so there we go. All we have to do is adhere this in place, and we have a few finishing touches, and let's review our card. And I just love how this turned out. You guys, I had a very different initial vision going in. I was going to do an all red and white card, But somewhere along the way, these various shades of gray worked their way in. So I love the way it's all very monochromatic. And then you've got that pop of red. Absolutely gorgeous. The details in the back with the BETTERPRESS plate, the little pearls here, perfect. That foiled sentiment. Even though it's white foil on gray, I think it would have detracted from it being a brighter silver foil. So I liked that white on the gray option. I think this really, really pulls it all together and keeps it from looking too fancy, but just a little fancy, you know, kind of like me. Not too fancy, just a little fancy. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. That was day 3. If you haven't seen day 1, I'll have it up here. You can check that out. Day 4 tomorrow will be live in our Facebook group, and then I will have a roundup of days 1 through 3 posted on my blog. So make sure you check that out. If you're looking for any of the supplies, they'll be in the video description below. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.